At El Pueblo Coliseum in Cali, Colombia in South America. You're looking at second half action between the United States and the Soviet Union, and the United States is leading 55-53 as Alexander Belosteny, a 7-foot, 246-pound backup center, and that's what I mean, has just brought the Russians to within 2 of the United States. We have 21,000 fans here, and they are raucous, to say the least. And we have a foul inside against the Soviet Union. And we'll bring you up to date on what's happened. As we told you, the Americans, on John Sundvold's jump shot, with 1 second to go, took a 49-47 lead at the half. It has been tight early in the second half with 17:30 remaining in this game. And you look at the replay again on the Russian foul on Belosteny, his second personal foul. The American players out there, on the line, Jeff Turner, a 6'9 junior from Vanderbilt who is playing center. Mitchell Wiggins, the leading scorer for the United States, number 15. He's a 6'4 senior from Florida State. Antoine Carr, number 4, you see him, a 6'9 senior from Wichita State. And in the backcourt, Sundvold, the hero of the first half, number 12, the senior from Missouri. And the other guard, Glenn Rivers, a junior from Marquette, wearing number 11. Will pick up the Russians as the Americans pressing for just about the first time in this game. Soviet Union, you're going to be surprised if you think they're just big clod players. They're not plotters. They can really move. And Eramine, a fine guard, feeds nicely inside to Mishkin, who misses the shot and then on the follow-up scores. So Anatoly Mishkin, who they say plays as close to the American style as anyone on the Soviet team, brings the Russians to within 2, 57-55. The Americans have been playing a man-to-man defense, and a near steal by Eramine of the Soviet Union. Rivers, who can go high and can go penetrate, did it right there, and Jeff Turner gives the United States a 4-point lead. Jeff Turner from Brandon, Florida, a role player, as the United States does not really have a true postman. They don't have a point guard, really, a playmaker, or a postman, and so Coach Bob Weltlich has done an outstanding job really switching things around. Missing is Belosteny of Russia. Sundvold maintains possession for the United States as you see the Soviet white-haired coach in the bottom of your screen. 13 teams started this competition on August the 15th as Mitchell Wiggins hits for the United States to give them their biggest lead, 61-55. The first round had 3 groups of 4 teams playing a round robin. The top 2 in each group advanced to the finals. Those 6 plus host Colombia played a round robin of their own. And the top 2 are meeting for the gold medal, the United States and the Soviet Union, who were 5-1 during the final round robin. And we have an injured Soviet player on the floor. And the injured player is Sergei Tarakanov, 24-year-old forward at 6'6". In the battle for the bronze medal, Yugoslavia, team that won the gold medal in the 1980 Olympics, and the last World Championship in 1978 at Manila, defeated Spain 119-117. And there is Vladimir Tkachenko coming into the ball game now. As you look at a replay, Andrei Lopatov hits the jump shot. A very solid player. And there you see the replay as Lopatov brought the Soviet Union to within 4 points. 61-57 the score, under 16 minutes to play in this game. The United States won 1954, the gold medal, defeating Brazil. They have not won the World Championship since. As Russia playing a 2-3 zone, and Tkachenko blocks the shot and might have committed a foul. Let's see. It's Eramine, his 3rd personal foul. So that may be just as damaging to the Russians. Stanislav Eramine, 31-year-old top playmaker, as the United States tries to spread their offense. Sundvold, top of the key. The rebound coming down to Yovacha of Russia. Mishkin, number 12. Yovacha, who's picked up a lot of personal fouls in the first half. A near steal by Rivers of Marquette. Over and back will give the ball to the United States. Alert play by Glenn Doc Rivers, an electrifying player who scored 21 points against the Soviet Union Thursday night when the Americans, faced with elimination, won the game they had to win 99-93. Now they're looking for the gold medal. Still U.S. ball. Yugoslavia won the last championship. In fact, the last four have been dominated by the Soviet Union and Yugoslavia. The Americans came in fifth in 1978. As you look at Alexander Gomelsky, the Soviet coach. And the question is, why does the country that invented the sport do so poorly in world championship play? Nearing 15 minutes remaining in the second half, and Mitchell Wiggins fires up a shot, missed, and Belosteny the rebound, and a foul called against Antoine Carr. Check that. It looks to be against Turner. There you're looking at Alexander Gomelsky, a colonel in the Red Army who coached the Russian Olympic team in 1964-68 and again in 1980. 4 fouls now for Jeff Turner, the 6'9" junior from Vanderbilt. Jim Thomas from Indiana is on the bench also with 4 fouls for the American team. Antoine Carr, who picked up 3 early one Thursday, is playing in the game with 3. The Americans now in a zone defense. Belosteny misses inside, but will have another foul, and this one is against Carr. Antoine Carr, who along with Cliff Levingston gave Wichita State national prominence, has committed his fourth foul. So 3 Americans, Carr, Turner, and Thomas, 3 key Americans, all are within 1 foul of being disqualified from the game. 61-57 the score. The United States leading the Soviet Union, 14:45 remaining. And Turner is going out of the game. John Pennone, the senior from Villanova, who has world championship experience with a gold medal last year at the World University Games, is in there, as well as Earl Jones, a 7-foot junior, very thin, as Carr goes to the bench. Belosteny, 23 years old. He's one of 3 7-foot players on this team, but they can really move. Kachenko is 7'5", and you'll see much of him as the second half goes on. So the American lead cuts to 2, 61-59, 14:40 to go. There are no American newspaper reporters here. Yugoslavia has 12. The World Championships are a secret when it comes to this country, but not to these outstanding players who are giving their all for the American team. That was John Pennone from Villanova, nicknamed the Bear, giving the United States a 4-point lead at 63-59. Belosteny, Michigan, guarded by Wiggins, and will have a foul against the United States. 14:18 to go, 63-59 the score. We're going to be joined in a few moments by George Raveling, the outstanding coach from Washington State, who's here to scout the foreign teams. And there you see the foul, Wiggins fouling Michigan, and Wiggins now has 3 personal fouls. All fouls in the act of shooting, 3 to make 2. After 18 fouls, you have a choice of shooting 2 shots or taking the ball out of bounds. There are other international rules that we'll fill you in on as well. Michigan, left of the key. One of the things the Russians do so well is hit from outside, and the Soviets trail the Americans 63-61 with under 14 minutes to play in the second half. You'll notice the lane's 18 feet at its widest point, baseline to baseline. Good move inside by Jones to Pennone. Short. The rebound by Big Kachenko at 7'5" and 308 pounds. And you just can't keep him away from inside. Soviet Union can tie it up. They led by as many as 13 in the first half. And a foul. No foul called, and the Soviets maintain possession. Eramine, probably the best playmaker on the floor for either side, drives and hits the bucket. Stanislav Eramine, 31-year-old veteran and an officer in the Red Army. And the Americans will call a timeout with 13:23 remaining. In the second half, we're tied at 63. Back in a moment. We are back in Cali, Colombia. Dick Stockton now joined by our guest, George Raveling. Starting his 11th year at Washington State, Earl Jones' jumper gives the United States a 65-63 lead. And we have a U.S. foul called. For the Americans, it'll be their 6th-team foul. After 8, the choice of taking 2 shots of the ball out of bounds. The foul against Earl Jones, his 2nd personal. So George Raveling is with us, coach at Washington State. Very fine coach indeed. And a good defensive play by Jones, taken down by Glenn 'Doc' Rivers. Rivers can penetrate. Great first step.
Dick, he's been doing this all tournament long. He's one of the best I've ever seen at accelerating. He reads the defense very well and picks an opening, and he goes to the basket with great skill.
They're looking for Kachenko inside, who is fouled. How do you keep this Kachenko at 7'5" away? It seems to be an impossible task.
Well, Dick, Coach Wetlick's game plan was to play behind him and get the help from the other 4 players in there. When you got a player his size and the biggest player on the United States team is 6'9", it makes it difficult.
John Pannone committed the foul, his second personal, and Pannone is 6'8". There you see coming in the ball game Nikolai Deryogin into the ball game, and going out is Kachenko. Kachenko has been playing with 3 fouls. Belosteny misses. And it's tipped up and in. Check to see who gets credit for the basket. And it was by Deryogin, who just came in the game. 12 minutes and 10 seconds to go in the second half. Sunvold misses the runner. It's tipped away. Bariani over to Aramin. Aramin and a basket. Endon misses the basket. Coming down is, look at that, Rivers misses. Tipped up and in by Mitchell Wiggins. So Glenn Doc Rivers with incredible vertical jump and that great first step in Wiggins with the follow-up. And the U.S. by 4. A running hook shot by Anatoly Mishkin. And we'll have a U.S. foul, and that will be the 8th team foul against the United States. It's against Mitchell Wiggins, the senior from Florida State. 69-65 with 11:44 to go. The United States leaving the Soviet Union. Knocked away by Pannone, still Russian ball. Bobby Weltlich, beginning his first year at Texas, replacing Abe Lemons, a protege of Bobby Knight, assisted Knight at West Point and at Indiana, and came from Ole Miss, where he really revived a program that had been dormant for a long time. Mishkin, Belosteny, blocked and knocked out of bounds. Earl Jones, who's 7 feet tall, as you look at Alexander Gomelski, criticized by the media for playing the veterans in the Olympics in Moscow, won by Yugoslavia. The U.S. one loss was to Spain in the finals. In the round robin, the Soviet one loss was to the Americans. It is still Russian ball with a 4-point U.S. lead.
Right here, we're trying to get a little better organized defensively in there. You can see Coach Wetlick up on the court trying to tell him what he wants them to do.
And a pushing foul against Earl Jones. Earl Jones commits the foul. 3 fouls on Jones. 3 Americans have 4 personal fouls each. Antoine Carr, Jeff Turner, and Jimmy Thomas. So the Soviets have a choice of taking 2 free throws or maintaining possession. 4-point lead for the United States. Deryogin, 23 years old, at 6'7", 238 pounds. But the Soviet team is a running team. They certainly have changed their style over the years.
Yes, they have. And that's the one thing that's given the United States control in both games has been the Soviet transition game.
11 minutes, 14 seconds to go, second half. The United States trying to win their first gold medal in 28 years, leading 69-65 over Russia.
Can you believe how pro-American this crowd is? It has just been supportive of the United States. It's been unbelievable.
That's so true, and that has helped the Americans as Mishkin on Pannone Smith comes in. Driving in is Endon. The shot is blocked, and here come the Americans. 3-on-1. Blake Rivers all the way with a stop. Listen to him. 18 points for Doc Rivers. 6-point lead, and they are filled to the brim. And an alley-oop play. Mishkin on the feed.
According to international rules, that's an illegal play. The player must put the ball outside the lane area, which the Soviet player did not do there. In international ball, you did not do that alley-oop play.
Rivers misses the shot, and Mishkin gets the rebound. And we will have a foul. Second personal foul on John Pennone. And right now, we'll be back after this word from your local station. We are back in Cali, Colombia. Dick Stockton, along with George Raveling here, and the Americans have matched their biggest lead at 73-68. Pennone scored for the United States after Mishkin made one of two free throws.
There's a little interplay going on between Coach Webbeck and the Russian coach in there. They're really yelling at each other.
The veteran Gomelski and Weltlich, who's 37 years old, who played at Ohio State. And Vladimir Tkachenko on the line. How do you rate the Soviet team?
I'd say that they're one of the three best teams in the world to go along with the United States and Yugoslavia.
Yugoslavia had beaten the Russians 8 straight times, including Olympic and World Championship competition, before the Russians beat them by 5 points in this World Championship tournament. 9:50 to go. Second half, 73-70, the United States lead. Earl Jones, 7 foot. Weltlich says he's really a small forward, and a great steal by Mishkin of the Soviet Union. Reynolds, number 10, fine defensive player, knocked out of bounds, and it's still Russian ball. George, I want to wish you good luck. I know that you're one of the candidates for perhaps Olympic coaching, and you've been an outstanding coach at Washington State. You did a great job at Taiwan with an unbeaten team.
Thank you very much, sir.
George Raveling from Washington State. And Tarakanov going to the line, foul. The Americans have committed 12 team fouls in this second half to only 3 for the Soviet Union. That foul was on Earl Jones, his 4th personal foul. So 4 Americans have 4 fouls, and Bobby Weltlich has some things to think over here. We have 9 minutes and 28 seconds remaining in the second half. The United States leading 73-70, their biggest lead 5 points. They trailed by 13 with 9 minutes to play in the first half. Going to the line, Nikolai Deryogin, 6'7", 23-year-old. When you look at the Soviet team and run down their ages, as he misses the first, of 28, 25, 31. There are a few 23-year-olds and the 18-year-old Sabonis, who has not seen action, going against Americans who are 20 years old. That says a lot. Of course, that has been the policies of the two countries. Soviets, practically professionals, and the Americans had a choice in whether they wanted to play in this World Championship. 9:25 remaining in the game. 73-72. The United States leading the Soviet Union. And an effective ball knocked away. Deryogin knocked the ball away effectively from Mitchell Wiggins. And the Soviet Union has it. 9:15 to go. 4 Americans have 4 fouls each. Antoine Carr, Jeff Turner, Jimmy Thomas, and Earl Jones. And Jones, the only one in the game. Tkachenko has been hit with his 4th personal foul. So Tkachenko will go out of the game, I believe, with 4 fouls, replaced by Belosenyi. That's Glenn Doc Rivers, the American, who has been the leading scorer. Rivers, the leading scorer, with 18 points for the United States. And on the bench is Tkachenko, the 7'5", 25-year-old center. Just camps inside, tough to muscle out. Sunvold with a good outside shot. And John Pennone misses from the corner. Coming in out of the nowhere is Earl Jones. And the loose ball is picked up. Deryogin, number 9 of the Soviet Union. And Valdis Balters, number 10, an outstanding outside shot in the backcourt with number 4, Stanislav Eremin. And they go inside to force Jones to foul. And traveling is called against the Soviet Deryogin. The Americans cling to a 1-point lead. Antoine Carr is going to come in the game. Alexander Gomelski. Carr with 4 fouls. Jimmy Thomas in the game with 4 fouls. So Bobby Weltlich going with 2 of his players in deep foul trouble. 8.5 minutes to play. Second half, 73-72, the U.S. And the bank shot is stuffed through. No basket. says the referee, who's from France, the umpire from Peru. Grab the backboard. You're not allowed to do it. Let's take a look as Mitchell Wiggins from Florida State goes up, and he pulled the grim in the backboard. Did Earl Jones, and getting the basket, Mishkin unmolested at the other end, and the Soviet Union has taken a 74-73 lead, their first lead since early in the second half. Nearing 8 minutes to go. The United States defeating the Soviet Union to earn a right for this game, desperately trying to capture the gold medal, and missing inside Earl Jones, the rebound by Belostenyi. Eremin from the corner, and the Russians are up by 3 now, 76-73, and the United States wants a timeout. Each team has 2 timeouts per half, and they must take them. And we'll take a break right now with 7:52 remaining in the second half. The United States trailing 76-73. Bobby Weltlich, whose best advice, he said, from Bobby Knight was, when you come to this country, they may be hospitable, they may be kind, but stay together, because the only ones that want to see you win are your own people. And that's what he's learned from Bobby Knight. As the officials, as we said, the referee is from France, Menini, and Paredes from Peru. 7:52 remaining in the game. 76-73, the Soviet Union leading, and a dispute over fouls right now. The top scorer for the Soviet Union, Anatoly Mishkin, with 22 points. For the United States, Glenn Rivers, the 6'4 junior from Marquette, has 18. And John Sunvol, the 6'2 senior from Missouri, has 14 points. But the question is, of last season's final 4 teams, North Carolina, Georgetown, Louisville, and Houston, only one player, Michael Jordan, the freshman from Carolina, has played in any of the 3 main organized international tours the United States conducted this summer. Where is Ralph Sampson? Where is Patrick Ewing? Where is Randy Brewer of Minnesota? Lee of Memphis State? There are a lot of questions about why the United States has had to take a back seat to most of these countries in world competition despite their appearance in the final here. Turner playing with 4 fouls, and Antoine Carr with 4 going up. They don't seem to be bothered by foul trouble, and we are going to have a jump ball apparently with 7.5 to play, and the Russians leading the Americans 76-73. Here's the scramble again. Antoine Carr, Wichita State. Mishkin got a piece of it, and they're fighting for the loose ball. These countries are playing for pride, which makes you wonder about the United States and why they have not sent their best players. This is not a criticism of those tremendous, valiant athletes out there for the United States who have a great chance of winning a championship. No knock on them, but we have some great players who are sitting home and watching this game on television. Tip is controlled by the Soviet Union. Falters. Eremin, and a violation turns it over to the United States. 3 Americans on the floor have 4 fouls. Another one has 3, as Turner loses the ball. The referee does not have to touch the ball on a turnover. So the other team, the team that has lost the ball, has to be alert to a break down the court. Eremin, guarded by Rivers, makes a good move on him. Stanislav Eremin, 31 years old. Rivers just a junior at Marquette. Mishkin out to Eremin. There's a 30-second clock in international play, and a hook shot dropped. It's good. A hook shot by Tarakanov, who has some good moves inside. Check that. Deryogin gets the basket for Russia. Nikolai Deryogin. 6:45 remaining in the second half. And a Soviet foul is called against Walters, the guard. That's his first personal foul and only the 5th on the Soviet Union. Rivers, no basket. And there was a foul before the shot. The foul is on Mishkin, number 12. That's his 4th personal foul, and he's been the leading scorer with 22 points for the Soviet Union. The Americans trailing by 5, 78-73. They fought back from a 13-point deficit with 9 minutes remaining in the first half and took the lead at the half. Opened it up, as you look at the time remaining, to 5 points. But the Soviet Union has come back. And Mitchell Wiggins wide open. This is from the corner, and here comes the break. Eramine was going the other way and gets the bucket to give the Russians an 80-73 lead. With 6:15 to go, Stanislav Eramine for the Russians, who last won this world championship in 1974. They have their best players here. So does Yugoslavia and the rest of the world. 21,000 fans. The Americans had a questionnaire as to who wanted to come here and play. Thomas hits the jumper from Indiana. Thomas, 80-75. 5:53 remaining in this fourth period, or second half, we should say. We're in the final stanza of this 40-minute game. Eramine, Mishkin outside. Ten seconds on the shot clock. And an American foul. And that's going to be Antoine Carr, and he's out of there. Antoine Carr, the best American power player inside at 6'9". And there is a Soviet player shaken up inside. We're going to break right now. 5:33 remaining in the game. 80-75. Soviets lead. We'll be back. Dick Stockton back at Cali, Colombia at the El Pueblo Coliseum. The shaken-up Soviet player Anatoly Mishkin has made 2 free throws, and it's an 82-75 Russian lead. Glenn Rivers hits a big jump shot. Fred Reynolds, number 10, a defensive specialist from University of Texas El Paso, replaced the fouled-out Antoine Carr for the United States. The playmaker Eramine of the Soviet Union. In the middle to Deryogin. Deryogin, good moves inside. Traveling called against Deryogin. 5:09 remaining. 82-79. Sundvold hits the shot for the United States. Quickly at the other end, Mishkin gets 2 more back, and he has 26 points for the Soviet Union. 5-point lead for the Russians, 84-79 with 4:50 remaining. The Americans have to stop the transition game. The Russians are getting back and beating the Americans down at the other end. And here comes a 3-on-2. Walters, Mishkin, and that's exactly what we're talking about. And the Soviet Union now leading 86-79. 27 points for Mishkin with 4:25 remaining. Coach Alexander Gomelsky wanting to silence the critics after being criticized in the Olympics for going with the veterans. Jump shot by Mitchell Wiggins, who's been the top rebounder and scorer for the Americans in this championship. 4:15 showing on the clock. And coming in the game, Earl Jones, 7-foot junior from the University of District of Columbia, and he replaces Jeff Turner. The United States now will have to press full court, trailing by 5 points, and they are doing it right here. Trapping Eramine. Mishkin gets it up to Walters, number 10. Soviets break it. Walters. Wiggins for the United States, 4-on-2. Sundvold pulls up. Sundvold fights for the loose ball. It's Soviet ball. Last touch by the Americans. The World Championship. You go around the world, they'll tell you how important it is. But in the United States, they rate the Olympics, the Pan American Games over this. As you take another look at the 4-on-2 break, Sundvold pulling up with it, and then Sundvold fighting for the loose ball. 2 Americans going after it. Out of bounds, Soviet ball. 3 minutes and 45 seconds remaining. And a Russian foul at the other end. This one on Deryogin. His first personal. That's the 17th foul. There have been 21 fouls called in this second half. The Americans are called for 14. The Russians 7. 3:42 to go. Sundvold missing outside. Wiggins coming in. Wiggins again. And Mitchell Wiggins, the most complete player on the team, according to Coach Bobby Weltlich, has 12 points in the game, and the Americans trailing the Russians by 3, 86-83 with 3:25 to go in the game, and a steal by Rivers. Over and back. They call over and back against Rivers. It'll be Soviet ball. Weltlich led Mississippi to an NCAA bid, their first one in history last year. Won the SEC title, and coming back into the ball game is the big guy, Vladimir Tkachenko. Lopatov outside The Americans pushing the Russians outside and making them, Russians wanting to use the clock. Lapatov trying to set a screen, does against Rivers. Walters, Eramine into Kachenko, and Kachenko with a second shot. And there's the kind of strength that he has. It's virtually impossible to stop. And with under 3 minutes to go, an 88-83 lead. The Soviet Union leading. Sunvold hits the big jump shot. He hit the clutch shot to give the Americans a 2-point lead. Second to go in the half. Now it's down to 3 points. Walters coming in. Blocked by Jones. Out of bounds. Could not be saved. It's still Russian ball. The Americans came in 5th in the last World Championship. Prior to that, they came in 3rd, 5th, and 4th. This is the World Championship. America has been virtually an embarrassment when it comes to that. And a Soviet foul, maybe on Walters, following the steal. .235 remaining. Still 88-85. And the foul is on Walters, his second. And so the Americans now with a choice of shooting or going to the line, or taking it out or going to the line, will have Glenn Rivers shooting. The Americans, with time running out and trailing by 3, may revert to a zone press coming out after this free throw by Rivers. Rivers has 22 points to lead the Americans. Can bring the U.S. to within 1 point. Doc Rivers. Amazing half-court shot as a freshman beat Notre Dame. He'll be Marquette basketball this year, that's for sure. 88-87. 24 points. And the full court press by the Americans. 2:30 remaining now. A 1-point lead by the Soviet Union. The gold medal at stake. Kachenko has the ball knocked away and the foul called against Jones, and he's out of the game. So Earl Jones is the second American to foul out. Antoine Carr fouled out moments ago. Foul number 5. We'll see what Bobby Weltlich does as Earl Jones, who has really been effective despite the fact as a 7-foot junior, very thin as you see, is not a power player by any means. Americans have 1 minute to get a substitute in there. If you look at Kachenko, who has huge hands, actually some of his fingers were lost in an accident on the day he was married, ironically, and that's why he's not been able to close his fist and doesn't have great range. He doesn't need it. John Pannone came in for the United States, the Villanova senior. Kachenko now has 7 points, make it 8. And a 3-point lead once again for the Soviet Union. 2:25 remaining in the second half. 90-87, Russia leading. Against the zone defense, Sunvold, almost knocked away by Mishkin. To Rivers. Inside to Pannone. Open, top of the key, Sunvold. Rebound, Kachenko of Russia. 30-second clock they have now with 2:09 remaining. Mishkin in the corner, guarded by Sunvold, and left all alone inside and blocked. Jovacha. And the foul against the United States. Jovacha will go to the line, 3 to make 2. The American foul is on number 11, Doc Rivers, his second. 2:04 to go. Jovacha, 3 to make 2. All fouls in the act of shooting, 3 chances to make 2. And following a 3-point or a foul on the basket, 2 to make 1. Fouls 16-8. The Americans have fouled 16 times. The Russians only 8 in this second half. And Jovacha has another one to go. 28 years old, 6'3", and a clutch player for the Soviet team. 5-point lead, 92-87. Sunvold bringing it up, and we now have 2 minutes to play in the second half. The United States and the Soviet Union for the gold medal. Yugoslavia won the bronze. Glenn Rivers, long-range shot misses. Pannone loses the fight to Jovacha, and the Soviets have the ball with 1:48 to go and a 5-point lead. The Americans had a 5-point lead early in the second half after trailing by 13. with 9 minutes to play in the first. The U.S. gambling all over the court. Inside, Mishkin, reverse layup. 94-87. 29 for Anatoly Mishkin, the emotional leader on the Soviet team. Penon going up, using his body. Doesn't drop for him. Coming down with the rebound, Lopatov loses the ball, and they'll call the foul on Lopatov with the elbow after the ball was jarred away. So the Americans will have a chance to go to the line. You look at the replay. And I think that when we talk about the United States condition, and it's not a healthy condition in world championship play, you can only blame the people who should have the influence on the great stars like Ralph Sampson and Patrick Ewing and Randy Brewer. The people who are in charge, who have to have the media more interested than they are. No American reporters here. We have a battery of radio broadcasters. Yugoslavia has 12 reporters here. You would think that a world championship is the ultimate, but that's not the way it's been in the U.S., because the country that invented the game when James Naismith put out the first rules in 1892, the U.S. hasn't really played it seriously. 102 reporters here, not one from the United States. We're happy to be bringing it to you on CBS with 1:10 remaining, 94-89, and we want to remind you also that the coverage you've been seeing has been from Colombian television, the worldwide feed. 94-89. Aramine on the line. And it falls off. He makes 1 out of 2. 6-point lead for Russia. 1:08 to go. Thomas bringing it up for the United States. Sunvol trying to get 2 in a hurry. Misses in the corner. Tries to save it and does to Penon. Penon drives in. And the United States can't get the ball in the hoop. Rivers. And it's blocked. They're going to call goaltending there. And the basket will count by Rivers. The Russians in a 2-3 zone. The Americans having trouble breaking it. And even when they get inside, can't get the ball to go down. 26 for Doc Rivers, the high scorer for the United States. A 4-point lead. Full court press for the U.S. with 56 seconds to play. And a 5-second violation. Stepped on the line and went back. That was the call. And we will have a timeout called for by the United States. Make it the Soviet Union calling a time. 95-91. Russia leads, 56 seconds to go. We'll be back. You're looking at that goaltending call against Kachenko, and Rivers got credit for the basket. 56 seconds to play. In the second half, 95-91 in favor of the Soviet Union. Wiggins misses outside. Penon. Shot blocked. Taken down by Ovacha of the Soviet Union. Aramine looking for help down court, and Thomas knocks it away, but Lopatov of the Soviet Union controls a big play. 38 seconds to go, and they spread out. This is four-corner style. Soviet Union. Penon knocks it away out of bounds. Still Russian ball. 4-point lead with 30 seconds to go. The Russian coach is signaling for a substitute. He wants the best ball handlers he can find in the game. Kachenko is on the bench right now, and Wiggins saves it to Thomas. Thomas goes in and gets 2, 95-93. The basket counts, and a foul with 25 seconds to play. A big break and a big steal for the United States on the inbound play. 10 points now for Jimmy Thomas, who's the only player Bobby Knight ever recruited outside and signed outside of Indiana, Ohio, and Illinois. On the good feedback from Mitchell Wiggins. It was Wiggins who showed good balance feeding Jimmy Thomas, and the foul against Lopatov of Russia. It is 95-93, 25 seconds remaining. And Thomas will go to the line, and he has 2 to make 1. He has 2 to make 1. The United States, even if Thomas makes this, will be trailing by 1. They need the ball back. And now here comes the pressure. 95-94. Soviets can chew up the rest of the clock. Walters bringing it up. Desperation time for America. Walters looking for help to Aramine, their best ball handler. 14 seconds to go. Aramine trying to dribble out the time. Double team out of bounds. And a jump ball is called with 9 seconds to play. A jump ball. And the Americans have a chance. 9 seconds to go. Great hustle by Sunvold and by all the Americans. Pannone, Wiggins, Thomas, Rivers, and Sunvold. Here's the jump between Aramine and Wiggins, controlled by the U.S. with 8 seconds to go. Thomas to Sunvold. Thomas's shot at the buzzer. It's no good. It's no good, and the Soviet Union has won the 9th World Championship, 95-94. The Americans had a chance, and Rivers missed from the corner. And the Americans, while the Soviets are and all over the court, the Americans are practically in tears. They can't believe how close they came. 95-94, Russia has defeated the Americans in the gold medal game in the 9th World Championship from Cali, Colombia. This is Dick Stockton sending it back to Brent Musburger in New York.